Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Oblivion. Tom Cruise plays Jack Harper, who is living with his girlfriend and I guess team partner Victoria as they help clean up drones and are kind of the mop-up crew, as they call themselves in the commercials at least, and that these big generators are producing energy for everyone else who has left Earth after a big alien war thing where they blew up the moon and it ruined everything, and then they nuked them, and so like everyone's dead. And on Titan, one of Saturn's moons, they are just communicating with the space station where a lot of people are. He has all these dreams of this woman, and then he suddenly finds her, and the mystery kind of unravels from there. The director of this film, Joseph Kosinski, I don't think it's Kosinski. I hope it's not. The director of this film was the director of Tron Legacy, which I didn't really like the direction of it, but I thought it was a very well-made film. And I think this is also a very well-made film. And it's definitely a step in the right direction for that director. A lot of these Hollywood directors, they don't seem to know how to take a project that can really do effectively and work well with their own style. This director, he came up with a very genre sci-fi film. I mean, this isn't a very special sci-fi movie. It's a very genre big Hollywood sci-fi movie, but in a way that isn't boring. It's kind of reminded me of seeing a genre Hollywood Western. You go, oh yeah, you know, they all do that. They all have this element, they all have that element. And you kind of are okay with it after a while because you're used to that genre predictability. And I've seen a lot of genre films where like, yeah, it's predictable, yeah, it didn't reinvent the wheel, but it still has a way about it that you still like. That's something I like about Oblivion because it's not taking on way too much. Sure, the plot twists are a little silly and goofy, but overall, all the kind of genre things it's taking from felt a lot more cliche and more like they're just lifting from other movies. And this just feels like it is lifting from other movies, but lifting from them in more of a genre aesthetic way. This film obviously owes a lot to Star Wars and Omega Man and 2001 and Independence Day, but it seems to work well with it. And I think this director seems to get that he can't really take on a big mind-blowing sci-fi movie. Why not make a genre sci-fi movie? And I mean, this was based on his graphic novel he wrote. It's such a big Hollywood production. It's shot in a big Hollywood way. He's becoming one of my favorite cinematographers. Claudio Miranda, I think that's how you say his name. He shot Life of Pi. He helped shoot Zodiac. He shot Benjamin Button. He's really good at doing the big Hollywood production, beautiful cinematography. I mean, remember when you saw a big Hollywood movie and the cinematography was like really beautiful and awe-inspiring? I don't think he's there with like Emmanuel Lubezki, who he's obviously very influenced by. It seems like he wants to do kind of some of those shots from Children of Men, but he just can't quite pull them off. And this director has a lot of problems with actors. He can light it incredibly well. He can have the score pumping and he can set the mood, but he's not really good with emotion. He can get you through those motions to the plot points decent enough that it's not as glaring as it was with Tron Legacy. It is kind of lame when you get to these big emotional scenes. You're like, well, it's lit right, well, it's shot well, it's just the emotion is like totally flat. And he does a similar idea of what he did with Tron Legacy and had Daft Punk. This time he has a French electronic band, M83. I often do like it when you do kind of an unconventional score. I guess this is kind of conventional at this point, but I thought this really worked really well for this film. You know, obviously it's a sci-fi film, it's a futuristic kind of film, and this kind of score works really well for it. And one of the big things about this movie is just it's surprising that I can see a genre sci-fi film and not be kind of annoyed by it and not go, this is ripping off that, and not be bored. The third act didn't bore me, but I've seen this third act before. I've seen a lot of these references referenced in other movies. I mean, I've seen 2001 reference to death. I've seen a lot of these sci-fi movies reference death. For some reason, Oblivion seems to be able to hold itself together well enough, and I think it's because this director knows he can't reinvent the wheel. He's not going to take on too much. He just wants to make a decent genre sci-fi movie, and I think Oblivion really succeeds in that. I like Tom Cruise, and I like that he's in a big Hollywood production. I hated seeing Jack Reacher because it's like, God, Tom Cruise in a cheap movie? What has Hollywood become? But Oblivion reminded me like he's a movie star, and this is a big movie star production. Kind of reminded me of Charlton Heston was cast in Omega Man at that point in his career. It's a movie star performance. He was probably the best thing in this movie. I like Olga Kurylenko Into the Wonder, but I still feel like she's kind of wasted in big Hollywood productions. If you're into sci-fi, you're not going to be disappointed by Oblivion. You're not going to be blown away, but you're going to like Oblivion because Oblivion is giving you exactly what you want from a sci-fi genre film and not pushing itself too far. I guess it does push itself too far in the fact that the revelations and the plot twists are like kind of stupid, but they don't dwell on them too much, which I think was a smart move. Even though this plot, it's not a great plot, it's not an incredibly well-written movie, but for a big Hollywood movie, it's been kind of a disappointing year for big Hollywood productions. Oblivion kind of soars as a big Hollywood production, and I kind of miss that about big Hollywood movies. The way they shot this looked like an old studio movie, like in the 60s or the 70s, the way it was shot. The cinematography of this, I think it's Claudio Miranda. He's really good at like doing kind of like the David Lean-ish big Hollywood, but gorgeous cinematography. Normal big Hollywood movies aren't shot this well, and I wish maybe they wouldn't cut so much. Maybe it's a little nitpicky, but I wish they would hold on shots more, because it feels like the cinematographer could really do that. I feel like he's so influenced by Emmanuel Lubezki. I wouldn't mind if he just ripped Emmanuel Lubezki off, and I think that would just be gorgeous regardless, you know? But I feel like maybe that was in there and they cut too early sometimes. It's just a decent sci-fi movie, and I don't see enough big Hollywood decent sci-fi movies anymore. I mean, it's not mind-blowing, but it was decent. So if you've seen Oblivion and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.